The Xbox controller since 2001 has went from this all the way up to this, and today we're going to take a look at that evolution and how it went from there to there over 15 years, I guess it's been. And big thanks to Slickwraps for sponsoring this video. Slickwraps makes skins for the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox One Elite controller. They have a ton of options. You could go like pink carbon fiber if you really just want to stand out, or you could go a more subtle and classy like wood on it. I think that looks really cool. Link down below to go check them out. Let's do this. In front of me, I have the 4 main controller iterations. Each one of these represents when the layouts changed or the materials changed or something with the hardware changed. There were different colors along the way with game releases and stuff, but I'm not worried about those. These are the 4 main times when the actual controller changed. So we're going to start with the original Xbox controller. The original Xbox came out in 2001, and for a year it actually had a little bit bigger of a version of a controller than this, but then they replaced that with this one. It's technically the Xbox Controller S, but for the sake of this video, this is the original Xbox controller. So taking a look at it, the first thing you'll notice is the Xbox logo, where there would be an Xbox logo, is not a button, and there's no actual Xbox logo there because this is just a different version of it, like a knockoff, I guess. And it's not actually a button, it's just there for looks. The start and back button are actually on the left side of the controller, which is a little weird compared to how we see it today. The analog sticks and the D-pad are where you see them on the newer versions. Of course, you have your X, Y, A, B buttons, which have been a staple of the Xbox controllers ever since the beginning. And then you have a black and a white button. You don't see these anymore, but they did have those there. And there are no bumpers, so there's still the same amount of buttons since these 2 are down here now. There are no bumpers on the original Xbox controller. You got your 2 triggers in the back, a proprietary USB interface, and probably the most interesting part of the original Xbox controller is the 2 memory card slots. So you'd put like a memory card in there and it'd have your game saves or something like that. So we don't see that anymore, but interesting that they had that built into the controller back then. Alright, so moving on to the Xbox 360 controller. This is in 2005. Definitely right off the bat, the ergonomics are improved. It fits your hand better. Now, the exact tips of my thumbs aren't on the analog sticks here. It's just more the middle of it, but it's definitely better than the original Xbox controller. You have the start and back button on either side of the Xbox logo instead of off to the left. The Xbox logo is now that menu button, and you have a normal analog sticks, D-pad, and X, Y, A, B buttons. No more black and white buttons. Those are now the bumpers, so left and right bumpers, as well as triggers. And then you have a sync button because it's wireless now. This is the first time they offered wireless controllers was the Xbox 360. Got your battery pack. It's either rechargeable or just like batteries like this, depending on the controller variants you went for. And then you have the connection at the bottom for headsets and that like keyboard thing that you could type on. I never had one, but yeah. Moving on to the Xbox One controller, came out in 2013. Definitely a much better material use, I guess, and again, it fits your hands even better. So they really just nailed the ergonomics at this point with how it fits your hands. Not too much has changed. The Xbox logo is now on this bridge. It's still a button. You have, I think it's menu and like view buttons over here. The analog sticks are in the same position, but they're just a better material with like a concave like dip in the middle, and it fits your thumbs really nicely. Typical D-pad, X, Y, A, B buttons that are now colored on the letter instead of the whole button. On top, you have much improved bumpers and triggers that are a lot better to feel. Still sync button, micro USB port now up here, so it's not the same port as before, but in the same location. Battery pack, and along the bottom you have another proprietary like headset connection. If you get a newer version though, it will have the headphone connection or just an adapter, whatever. Xbox One controller, not too much changed, but definitely some nice improvements. Alright, moving on to the Xbox One Elite controller, came out in 2015. By far the best controller they've ever made, but the price does reflect that. It's like $150, which is like most definitely not worth it. But I bought it for the sake of this video, and it is an incredible controller. So it's made out of better materials, nice like rubber, soft touch, metal build, and the name of the game with this controller is really customization. So the analog sticks, you get 3 versions. You get these tall ones, which are supposed to like make you more accurate. You get the normal Xbox One thumbsticks, and you also get PS4 thumbsticks that are convex instead of like concave in the middle. With the D-pad, you get an 8-way D-pad and a 4-way D-pad. I prefer the 4-way just because that's normal. You have the normal buttons in the middle as well as a profile switcher. I'll talk more about that in a sec. Normal Xbox logo up top. You get some blacked out X, Y, A, B buttons, which are pretty cool. look good. On top you have your bumpers and your triggers, and with those triggers there's a hair trigger switch, so you can have it where it goes all the way down like a normal Xbox controller would, but if you engage the hair trigger switch, then it only goes down to the point of actuation. So theoretically it's supposed to, you're not like wasting time, and it's supposed to make you better at like doing whatever you're supposed to do. You also have paddles back here. There's actually 4 paddles, but I only keep 1 on, and these can be mapped to anything. So say you were like running in a first-person shooter, you mapped this to jump, so you no longer had to take your thumb off the viewing stick to press A, so theoretically, again, that'll give you a slight advantage. Around the bottom, it's still just battery powered. Around the bottom, you have a separate headphone jack, which is great to see, so you can just plug in any headphones, as well as the Xbox proprietary interface. That's not like a term, I just said that. And yeah, that's the, oh yeah, the profile switcher. So you can have 2 profiles. So with your button arrangements and what action each of them does, you can have them set on profiles on the controller, and you have 2 profiles to switch in between. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you thought it was interesting. Xbox versus PS4 aside, I always tend to think that the Xbox are just better controllers. They're just more ergonomic with your hand placement and everything. I don't know, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to see a PS4 or PlayStation controller evolution video, also let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, subscribe to see more content, and as always, stay classy.